Hey there, ATPC guy here. My last video was dedicated to me putting together the basic components in the motherboard, RAM, CPU, and an M2 drive. And that was in preparation to actually installing them on my desk build and finally having a much deserved upgrade that hopefully would do justice to the sort of extensive case modding that I gotten myself into. Now, because of it being kind of a complicated procedure of rerouting all the wires and all that stuff and putting new fan controllers. I had to do it in 2 days. The first day is the video that you might have already have seen. The second video is the one that you are watching now, and that is me actually putting the stuff in the motherboard. Now, I must say in advance that the audio is still my webcam audio, so it is a bit iffy because obviously the PC was off. I couldn't be recording with the headset, and also that it did not go as well as smoothly as I had hoped. In terms of filming, the build went fine, no problems at all. But in terms of actually filming the procedure, it did not go as I was expecting because of me basically having to be performing the build, plugging stuff, all that sort of stuff, and having to actually have the camera pointed at the right angle and holding it steady. And it was just not very doable to film me connecting each header. So while I did have some footage of me connecting a few headers, very soon into the build I decided that it was not feasible to do it like that. So I just connected most of the headers off camera and I pointed them out one by one with what they are and what they are for, because otherwise it would be an even worse video than I hoped, and it's still not what I was hoping to provide, so apologies for that. But I hope it gives an idea of what goes where and what kind of wiring and connections you could expect when installing a motherboard on your case. Because yeah, okay, I have a lot of fan headers because of it being a desk build with 8 fans, but things like power connectors, USB headers, that's pretty general and pretty generic for any motherboard. So hopefully you guys see something and see that it's not all that complicated. The connection process itself is not very difficult. Each header usually only has one plug, socket, whatever that matches it. So it's almost like playing Lego. It can only go in one place. The exception for that would be perhaps fan headers with the 3-pin, 4-pin that you could eventually plug it in the wrong place. That and the power connectors for the power button, that sort of thing. But that's about it. I will let you see the footage with the forewarning that I am not very happy with it myself. I'll make that very clear so that you guys are not surprised and you guys won't think, wait, why did he even put this up? Why? Because I think it's still informative, even if it's not ideal, and I will try to in the future when I make any other build. And if I find a different solution to actually filming it, I will try to provide better quality. Anyway, I will let you guys see what you can expect. So it's finally time to put in that motherboard that I showed you the other day. As you can see, it is a bit more difficult than on a usual case. I will have to take out this bottom panel on the desk because that's where the cabling is underneath. So I have to remove the motherboard, which I would anyway. And I have to lift out the panel, unscrew it, get the cables routed properly, and then put it all together again. So yeah, it does take a bit more time than on a normal case, but it should be done in a couple of hours anyway. And I will let you guys skip all the unscrewing part because frankly it's not all that super exciting, it's more annoying than anything. But I will show you guys later how to connect the actual connectors to the motherboard afterwards, like you would on a normal PC case. Before I forget, before you actually close it all and put it all together again and all screwed up together again, and this also applies for a normal PC case, not only for my case with the desk. Before you do that, make sure that you connect just the power to the motherboard, connect the screen to get some display, and boot it just to make sure that everything is working correctly and that there are no problems. Otherwise, you might have to take it all apart again just to troubleshoot and figure out what's wrong, and possibly, I don't know, have to order new parts from warranty or return the parts that you got because they might be malfunctioning, whatever. It's a small chance that that might happen, but it can happen. So to save yourself some trouble, do a first boot before you actually put it all together again. Now, for starters, we're going to apply some thermal paste on the CPU. There are a lot of people that have a lot of opinions and techniques to do this. After looking around, more out of curiosity than anything else, because I never had any issues with the way I did it, it turns out that people have actually tested and benchmarked it and retested it and all that. And it doesn't actually matter a lot what technique you use, as long as you don't put too little thermal paste. Because what it does is it fills up all the tiny little microscopic spaces between your CPU heat spreader and the cooler that you use to make it contact better. So, end of the day, as long as you have enough of it in there, the only scenario that it gave a lot worse temperatures was when there was not enough thermal paste. So it doesn't matter, some people put a little dot, some people make an X, some people spread it with like a, I don't know, a credit card or whatever. And it turns out that it does not matter a whole lot. Now, what I will do, because it is what I have always done in the past, is I will smear it in there and I will spread it around with a card to make it a bit more uniform, just because that's what I always did. And like I said, it does not matter a whole lot as long as you don't put too little. Now, what I'm using is Noctua NTH1, in case someone was curious. So I will, it's the first time I'm using this one, so I'm not sure how hard I have to press. I'm having some resistance. Oh, there you are. So that might be even a bit much, but enough. Now the important part is the middle of the heat spreader, although obviously the more you cover, the more surface area there is. Now some people might be saying that this is too much thermal paste and it's gonna isolate the CPU and all that, but like I saw and like I just told you, it does not matter much as long as it's not too little. So you're better off putting too much than too little. Besides, when you actually place the cooler on top, if it is too much thermal paste, the pressure will simply spread it out on its own. So don't worry too much if you overdo it a little bit. Plus, it looks like I'm putting it there a lot, but as you can see, a part of it actually stays stuck to my smearing device, let's call it. Just trying to make it neat and uniform at least, while having still enough in the middle. Now, with this done, let us put up the cooler on top of it. Now, after having cleaned the bottom of the cooler of all thermal waste from the old processor, I will just, as you can see, there are standoffs, or maybe you can't see very well, but there are standoffs here that you place it on, and there it is. It should be nice and in place. And I will then proceed to fasten the little thumb screws around the edge. Let me try to give you a bit of a better angle. As you can see, these are the thumb thingies, and these are the thumb screws with a little hole on the bottom. You just go like this and you tighten them. And you do one piece at a time, not tightening completely in one go, but alternating to make sure that the pressure is equal. Now, having the cooler in place, let us start with the CPU. As you can see, this CPU has a 8-pin plus 4-pin. This motherboard is an 8-pin plus 4-pin configuration for the CPU. Normally I would do this last, but as you can see, the power supply is not yet plugged in, so I will just do it to, you know, get out of the way. And yeah, this will be covered, don't you worry about that. So let us start by putting in a 8-pin connector. Sorry, the 4-pin connector here on this side, because it's further along, so might as well do it and get it out of the way. Normally you'll have, like in this power supply, I have 4 plus 4 on each connector, so I need 2 of them, and I will just leave one of them unused. And there we go. And this one I will just hide it to the side. Like this, so it is out of sight. Next up, another 4 plus 4-pin connector, which I will plug in to 8-pin connector here. Since we're up here on the top of the motherboard, let us connect all the pins at the top of the motherboard. I will start with the Aura Sync cable from my hub, and it is the 3-pin header that you need, so it would be this one. And there is only one way that the pins actually fit, so there is not a whole lot of room for making a mistake here, so it's basically foolproof, this one. And there we go, fitting it nice and tightly. Now let us move forward with a PWM cable for the fan controller. It's a 4-pin, and it will go here on the PW on one of the fan headers. You know what? I have shown you where it is. It's pretty simple to plug in. From now on I will just show you what goes in which header, and I will do it off camera, because it's kind of hard to hold the phone and try to explain things at the same time. Okay, now after minimal amount of fiddling, I have connected the Aura Sync cable, one of the PWM cables for the controller, and the pump control cable for the AIO Cooler that I have. Next up, I will be connecting the ATX power supply for the motherboard, which I have an adapter to make it angled, as well as another fan hub with a PWM cable. It's there, I believe. I will double check, but pretty sure that's the one. Now, because of me having to hold the camera, I kind of skipped a bit of the video that I was planning to. I was planning to show me connecting every connector, but it's just not doable to do it with one hand while taping it for you guys. So I'll give you a quick run around. As I already showed you the top ones in the previous clips. This is the ATX power supply cable for the motherboard. It's easy to identify. This is a PWM cable for the fan hub, as well as this one here. This is the front panel connectors. You can see power button, LED from the power button. This is the USB 3.0, USB 3.0, 3.1 I'm thinking. Yeah, USB 3.1 with a little adapter to make it angled so that it sticks out a bit less. And this is the audio connector for the front panel, for the headset, microphone, that sort of thing. Now, if I was you, I would consult your motherboard guide that will tell you what exactly each header is, because in this case, for example, there are some headers for water cooling pumps, that sort of thing, that you might want to check where they are so that you don't plug fans there by accident, and those might be configured to run at full speed, and you don't want your fans running at full speed all the time. So this is it as far as motherboard connections go. It's usually easy to identify what goes where because usually they only fit in one place. The only question is, like in this case, the fan head for water cooling. Now, as you might notice, I have to kind of do some touches there and there with some little bit of paint, but I'll do that when I'm done. And I will now still connect the graphics card here, and I'll give it a test run. As you can see, I have not connected the SATA cables for the hard drives and SSD because I will first install Windows on my M2 drive, and then the SATA cables, because there have been reports in the past of Windows not installing to the M2 drive as long as there are SATA drives connected. So I will do that first, and then I will plug in the actual hard drives and SSDs. So, after wiring everything up again, after fixing a fan that was not lighting up, should be fine now, I put it all back together, installed Windows, connected the SATA drives here on the side as you can see, and I will let you guys witness first boot. And yeah, that looks scary, but it is somewhat normal. There we go. Although the fans seem to have screwed up again. It might be a software problem or something like that, because they were working just now. But yeah. And here it is, back working again. Those fans are not lighting up, most likely because of ORSync problems, because they were not working. I opened it up again, reconnected them, they were working then, and now they stopped working again without me touching anything or any wires. So I'm thinking I have to set something up, otherwise I'll come back to it at some other point. Anyway, they are spinning, they are just not lighting up. As you can see, I connected the SATA cables because I already installed Windows. I kind of have kind of a ghetto monitor under here because I don't have the glass on top, obviously. So I installed Windows that way, and I will let you guys see the moment of glory. This build is for now officially completed. I also patched up the little damages that I did with some paint, and yeah, now it's off to setting everything up and making it all run properly. Now, quick update on the performance after the upgrade. As you can see, I am running a stress test with Intel XTU stress test program / benchmark program. I have set it to 20 minutes. It should be long enough for all the liquid to warm up in my AIO Cooler, so you can get a better picture how it performs in the long run after an extended period of time. Now, it has been running for about 15 minutes now, and as you can see, the temperatures are quite stable. They're very acceptable. This is at the stock configuration, so 4.6 GHz on all cores. I should add that, as you can see up there, the fans aren't even really going full blast. They are in groups. Each of those listings there represents either 2 or 3 fans, because of the controller they show as 1 and they're controlled as 1, each of the groupings. But in any case, the CPU RPM that you see there is the AIO Cooler fans. So as you can see, the AIO Cooler is not even going at full blast. It's going about half of the speed that it can go, and still you can see the temperatures are quite stable. No, that was it. The system is up and running. I will actually take some footage of it up and running for you guys to watch. It's not as glamorous as I wanted it to be yet. I'm still missing some LED strips and all that stuff, but that will come later, and I'll also make a video about it. Now, for now, another note, which is, as far as knowing where each header goes and what you connect there, I strongly suggest that even if you know what you're doing, to double check it by checking the manual that might come with your motherboard, or the documentation online on your motherboard's manufacturing site. And why? Because then you have here an entire list of which connectors are what. Let's see. which connectors are what are they for, are they for an AIO pump, or is it for a water pump, is it for fans, all that sort of things, as well as a detailed explanation for the front panel connectors, which ones are for the LED. Wait, I think that's the wrong one. No, that's not what I wanted to show you, but it looks kind of the same, so apologies. Oh yes, here they are. This one? No, this one. Yeah, for example, there, yeah, you see power LED, HD LED, reset button, power button, all that stuff. You have a lot of information here on connectors. There is also information on other features of the motherboard and included software. There is instructions on how to install each component, like for example, the CPU, because if it's your first time installing, for example, a CPU, I would um, I would be wondering if things like the IO the socket shield and stuff, do you take it out first? Do you take it out later? And it actually has a very detailed explanation how do you install this, how do you install that. So it's worth checking. So that's what I have to say on the matter. So I will leave you with some footage of my motherboard running, of the how it looks basically, and its synchronization and all those features. But it went well, and like I said, I will try to provide a better video for the next time. This has been Active PC Guy. I will see you next time, and have fun.